No, I think I'm gonna stand in between y'all. If that's okay.
Perfect.
So I don't know if the camera can see us, but we're live, and I just was in an amazing session with these two. This is Crystal, and this is Kyle, and they did a session on what's the name of the session called?
Playable futures.
Playable futures. It was I don't want to degrade it, but it's a card game with well, I'm gonna have them talk about it. So tell us about what the session was.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No. It's a session where we look at the intersection of like serious games and strategic foresight. Strategic foresight being the discipline and the body of knowledge, the tools, the methods, and so on and so forth that allow us to develop the capacity to think strategically about the future. Right? How do we make a resilient decision and think about all the possible changes that are happening around us and put that into our present day decision making? So we built out a card game that really allows us to kind of build the skill set and build the muscle and really understand the methodology without being lectured about the methodology. So it's really a practice environment where we can kind of test out different narratives and signals and trends and all the emerging changes that seem to be coming our way.
Yep.
And start to develop that muscle so that we can then take it out into the real world and start to understand in our industry, in our sector, in our spaces, just the way in which change happens and affects us and might impact us from either a risk perspective or open up new opportunities in its entirety.
Awesome. So one of the things that came to my mind in the session is the term futurist. So, Crystal, I'm going to give this to you. What does it mean to be a futurist? What does that mean?
Oh man.
No pressure.
No, should I take this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So being a futurist means that you just have the ability to assess the different types of future ahead of you, whether that's like looking at the information in front of you, looking at the information behind you, but also taking that information and then plotting it out and seeing what kind of possibilities there are in the future. There are different types of futurists, obviously. Some people might have more of a POV on like what's growing, what's really engaging, what's the next big trend, But then there's also people who are a little bit more cynical about it, right? So they might see the decline of everything and like, oh, NFT was never really anything. AI is gonna take up all the like jobs, So different kind of POV applied on the type of like signals, the trends that are happening right now, or even in the past, can then inform like the type of like different type of future that's ahead of you.
Awesome. Yeah. And I love the scenario of you had to pick the persona and you had to pick all of these different cards, and I'm narrowing it down. I did record the activity live as we were going through it, so there's a recording of that. But what I loved was, and I said this to both of y'all earlier, was the fact that when you solve one story and you complete the narrative, there's more coming. And I felt that stress. I'm like, okay, this is a lot. Like you have to go through multiple rounds of that. So the game is meant to be played in 10 rounds, right? And we completed like maybe 3 or 4 probably in 30 minutes. But what is one thing in the presentation, because there was a lot. You gave us a lot of information, a lot of good information. What was one thing that you wish you would have added that we didn't get a chance to cover? And I could go for either one of y'all.
Yeah, I think this talk that we give is usually like a hybrid of like many different talks that we give. It's kind of a synthesis, so there's lots of different branches to pull upon. I think the important message ultimately is that we live in a world characterized by like nonlinear change, and we live in like a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous time. We call this like a VUCA world. And I think diving into that and really getting a sensibility of like the rapid changes around us, like the non-linear changes. We don't kind of march through time in a linear fashion, in a linear progression. There are disruptions, there are wild cards, there are black swans that really change the trajectory, and like one event might kind of shift everything upside down. And I think kind of getting into the kind of subject matter and the material and exploring some of these immersive futures is another area that we can also demonstrate, because as you experience in the game, there are many different signals, and the way that you combine them and interact them, the way they collide in the world, might reveal some interesting opportunities, some new threats, some new pathways that might open up for different individuals or organizations. But it's really about the more you become aware and have an acute kind of attentiveness towards the nonlinear change, the volatility, the uncertainty, and so on and so forth, you then better define your radar system as to what
Yeah.
you should be paying attention to. So it's about reading the meaningful signals out of all the different noise and starting to stitch together these narratives and understand and make sense of the world around you.
Right.
Because you don't want to make a decision on incomplete information. So the more information you have, whether it's good news or bad news about the future, if my business is out of business in 10 years, and we worked with clients that would ask us, give us 10 scenarios, 10 futures in which we no longer exist in 10